Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here telling you about my June wrap up, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit ashamed of my reading progress in June, but I'm having to kind of convince myself and remember the fact that it's taking me a little bit to get back into reading. I didn't read for pleasure, like I've said multiple times, all school year. So this past year I haven't been reading for fun, and so it's been hard to just sit down and enjoy a book and really like get super invested in it, because I don't know, my brain is still kind of calculated to think that I'm supposed to be really analyzing this and picking out like passages to analyze for like papers and tests, and I'm trying to just help myself get back to the state of just enjoying it and reading it for what it is. So yeah, I did not even come close to finishing the 11 books I think I had on my TBR from the Wheel of TBR I did last time, June. So I didn't finish that many, but I did finish, let's see, I finished 5. So it averages about a book and a little bit a week this past month, and you know what, I'm counting that as a success because it's been a while since I've done that, so I'm honestly proud of myself. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I know some of you guys are going to be disappointed because I didn't get to all the books on the Wheel of TBR, and you guys all had such great information and reasons behind why you loved a certain book that I had on my TBR. And so if the book that was on my TBR didn't get read this month that I told you about, I may possibly, I'm not sure, but you'll see in my TBR video, I may possibly put those back into the works, such as for whatever I drew that book from in the wheel, I may pick that book again and read it for this next month in July, because these books are actually books, sorry, hold on, my focus is weird, there we go. These books are actually ones that I've been wanting to read for a while. It just was difficult, and I had a lot going on this month in general. I had a lot of like grad parties for like family members, and I had a lot of traveling going on, and it just wasn't practical to be reading as much as I wanted to, but I do really want to get to all those books that were on my TBR, so possibly, we'll see what happens, but in my June TBR, I mean my July TBR, go check that out. It should come up after this video. Who knows? I'm kind of all over the place, but anyways, that's besides the point. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them, but you know what? I'm not gonna really be that upset about it because I did read a lot of books, and you know what? 5 books, but I did read a good amount of books, and I'm proud of what I read. So let's get into the wrap up. I'm sorry that was really long-winded and you didn't need that, but here we go. That's kind of how my channel has become. It's fine. So the very first book that I read this month was one that I've had on my TBR for a while, and I'm glad I finally got to it because I got this for Book of the Month in August of 2017. So it's been almost 2 years since I got this book, which is despicable because I haven't read it yet, but now I have. I'm very proud of myself. And that is Eat Only When You're Hungry by Lindsay Hunter. This book was really interesting. I've heard very mixed reviews about this book, just because I don't know, it's a different type of book. It's about this man, Greg, and he is obese and has kind of an eating problem. He's really struggling with himself and his body image, and his ex-wife, they have a lot of problems within their relationship as well, and their son, GJ, or Greg Jr., has gone missing, and he is a kid that they know uses drugs and is not in the right mindset, so they're very worried about him because he's missing. So Greg decides to go on this road trip to try and track down GJ and get information from different people of where he could be, what's going on with him, but it always comes back to the fact that they have to understand and kind of come to terms with the fact that GJ very well may be dead just because of the way he's acted and what they know from the past. And so it's kind of the battle between wanting to search out for his son because he loves his son so much and he knows he can't rest until he gets some information, but also having to wrestle with the fact that he could be dead and the search for him may be for nothing. And that was something that I found really interesting about this book. I think the characters were very interesting and had a lot of, they were very dynamic. I thought that they had a lot of different qualities that made them interesting. It wasn't very one-dimensional in my opinion. And I don't know, a lot of different parts were working in this book that kind of came to the conclusion it did, which I will say the conclusion did not satisfy me in the way I wanted, but I could understand it, if that makes sense. It kind of felt realistic and how this could possibly have gone if this were in real life. But yeah, I can't remember what I rated this. I think the average rating is 3.8. Oh no, 3.28. So it's not highly rated, but I give it 4 stars. I don't know. This left me feeling satisfied in a lot of ways. I think the ways that Greg deals with his eating disorder and being obese and wanting to be able to journey out and find his son, and the struggles he has not being able to do that because of his weight and his physical stature and health in general, I thought was really interesting because he wants so much for his son to come back and to be able to find him, but it's difficult. And it's difficult for his ex-wife too, because she obviously loves him, but she's kind of more come to the idea that he's gone and he probably doesn't want to be found. And it's a very interesting book. It's hard to describe, and I know I'm kind of just rambling now and repeating the same things, but I think this was really interesting. It was not very long, and I read this all like while in the pool, and I don't know. I really like this book, honestly, and it's definitely one I'll think about for a while now. Also, I love this cover. I've already mentioned that, but anyways, I gave this 4 stars, and I would recommend it if this information won't be triggering to you, because it does deal with a lot of hard topics such as eating disorders and drug use and depression, and yeah, so if that isn't too hard for you to deal with or won't affect you, I would recommend this. I think it was pretty poignant and made an interesting statement. So that was 4 stars, and that was the first one that I read this month. The next book I read this month was A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. This book is about a girl named Shireen, who is a Muslim girl living in New York City a year after 9/11. And this is when the US is in a very interesting state politically and socially, and she is facing a lot of degrading comments and racism, I'm so sorry, racist comments, and just a lot of really difficult stares and problems coming from her peers because she is Muslim and because she wears a hijab, and people just are absolutely disgusting and despicable. And as much as I'd like to say we're changed now in the US, we're not. But this was so interesting to me. I really loved it. Shireen was precious, and she was a badass, and she, you know what, she was very hardened, and I don't blame her for that. It just made me sad because she is so young and she's having to deal with such awful comments from other people because of her religion and the choice of dress she wears, and just really awful things she's had to deal with. But she wants to become a breakdancer, so she breakdances with her brother and her friends, and she also meets this boy named Ocean, and he really just likes her for who she is, and she can't understand that because she's never really had that from anyone else before. And so it's her struggle trying to open up to this boy that she can't tell what his reasonings or what he wants from her. But he just, you know, he really likes her for who she is. Her religion or her headdress or anything about her is not a problem for him, and she's never experienced something like that. So I think it was really interesting for her to get to open up to that and allow herself to be loved and appreciated for who she is. And I don't know, I just really loved this book. I gave it 4 stars. There was something I think that was missing. I don't know exactly what it was. But something, a little bit something, I don't really know, but I did really enjoy it, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody. I think it was really eye-opening and touched on a really important topic that not only was important back then, but is important now. And yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I'm glad that I got to listen to it on audio because the audio narrator was awesome, and it was just a really enjoyable story. It was hard, definitely hard and hard-hitting, and watching her struggle and the difficulties she had day-to-day life with her teachers and just her peers and people who are supposed to be there to support her as a young high school student. It was really sad and interesting, and I'm just really glad that I got to read this because I've been meaning to. I really liked Hedda Mafi. Oh, sorry about that. I really liked Hedda Mafi's writing, and I think she tells a really interesting story, and this is also own voices, so I really appreciate that as well. So gave that 4 stars, and I'm glad I got to it this month because that's been on my TBR for a good bit now. The next book I read is The Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. Trisha Levenseller. This book is about a girl named Alosa, and she is the daughter of the Pirate King. So she's this really badass pirate who is sent by her father to go onto this enemy ship to find this hidden treasure or this map that she really needs for her father. And instead of just sneaking around and doing it, she decides to let herself be captured so that she can get the information and the materials from the inside out. And I thought that was a really cool premise, and I thought they did a really wonderful job with this story. I was very intrigued through all of this. I love pirates. I don't know, some people don't like pirates or mermaids. I'm into pirates and mermaids and all that kind of stuff. I feel like there are people like hate that or love that. I really love it. So I really liked pirates, and I think the pirates in this were really interesting, and it reminded me a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean, which again, I love. So I was really happy about this, and how glad I was that, and I was so glad that it went the way I was hoping, and there was this really cool romance within this where it's definitely haters to lovers, and they've got this really cool banter that comes along with it, and I don't know, there's just something about this I really enjoyed. I think she was really witty and fun, but also she could kill you if she wanted to, which we all love a good heroine like that. So yeah, this took me a little bit to get through just because I was kind of shifting from reading it physically and audiobook, but I did really like it, and this is Levenseller's debut novel, which I was very pleased with because, I don't know, I think she did a lot of really great things in this for her first book. So yeah, I think this was awesome. I have the second book, so I definitely want to pick it up sometime soon. I want to give myself a little bit of a break. But yeah, again, I really enjoyed this. I thought that she did a wonderful job with the pirates, keeping them kind of piratey and realistic in that way, but also giving it a good humor and a good light in the darkness of pirates and killing and all that stuff. So I think I gave this 4 stars. I don't know, I gave a lot of 4 stars this month. Let's check. Yeah, I gave this 4 stars. I really liked this, and I'm glad I got to it this month because this has been on my TBR for a little bit, and I even had the ARC for the second book, so glad I can finally read the ARC. The next book I read this month was super exciting because I have never read this book, but I've seen the movie a million times, especially as a kid, and that was Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. This is my mom's copy, so it's really old. It is so cool because it's like vintagey, I don't know, and it smells like an old book, which I really like that smell, I don't know. But it's got pictures in it, and it's got lots of really cool illustrations, and I loved this. I haven't ever read this, and I had heard from a lot of people saying that this was a lot darker than the original story, which I can understand. It does have darker elements than the Disney movie, but to me, I wasn't really shocked by anything in this because the live action one that I used to watch as a kid, the Jeremy Sumpter one, where he was so cute as Peter Pan, he was so cute, but that one was, I felt pretty dark in comparison to this. It was in a very similar darkness, definitely darker than the Disney one, but not, I don't know, it wasn't as dark as I was expecting. I was expecting Peter Pan to be like a real, you know what, like from Once Upon a Time, but he wasn't completely like that. anyways, I really liked this. Everyone knows the story of Peter Pan. This is a boy who never grows up. He comes to visit this family that lives in England, and he takes them to Neverland, to where they can live and never grow up because they don't want parents, and all of this ensues. There's beautiful Tiger Lily, and there's Captain Hook, and the ticking crocodile, and I don't know, there's Tinkerbell. You guys know the story. I don't really need to explain it to you, but I was really happy I got to read this month. This, I mean, is a classic, so I'm glad I got to read a classic this month because that doesn't happen for me that often. So it was really easy to get through it, and I read this in literally a couple hours because I already knew the story. So I gave this 4 stars. I don't know. I'm weird about classics because I could give it 4 or 5, but I think I'll just give it 4. I mean, it wasn't the most spectacular story. I already knew it, but still really good. Glad I read that. So, sorry, I just shifted my camera. But for the next book that I read, I ended up reading Fruits Basket by Nasuki Takaya. And this one's kind of hard because I truly had a very hard time kind of keeping up with this. I've never read a manga, so I've never had to read it backwards for me. So you read from the back to the front, and it's kind of, to me, it was difficult. I don't know, I've never done it. So I had to kind of figure out which boxes to read first and which way the story flowed. And I don't know, I didn't really connect with the story very much, so it wasn't my favorite. I've watched a ton of animes and watched a lot of anime movies and read some manga no, not manga. I've read some graphic novels and some stuff like that before, but I've never read something like this. So I had a bit of a hard time, but I did keep some notes just to kind of tell you the basic story. Okay, ignore everyone talking in the background. That's my family because I live at home right now. But this is about a girl named Toru Honda, and she is living at her grandfather's house, but this guy named Yuki asks her to stay with them when her house gets, or her tent or something gets ruined, and then she turns different people into cats and dogs and things like that. And then there's like zodiac information, and honestly, I sound like an idiot because I can't really remember all of the stuff. But I just would say that it's not for me. I think it could definitely be for other people, but just particularly this one, I'm not really into the whole zodiac things and really into like people turning into animals. I don't know. I really like the ones that are like future in the past. I don't know if that has this in it like later on. It possibly could, but for this one, just not my favorite. So I'm probably gonna have to give this like 2 stars. I didn't hate reading it, but I did have a hard time, and the story just really didn't stick with me. So I'm sorry, that was an absolutely awful explanation. I would definitely watch other people's videos on this because people could probably explain it much better than me, but this one was just difficult for me. And it was kind of hard because it was putting me in a slump, so I didn't really want to finish it, but I ended up getting through the gist of it. So anyways, gave that 2 stars. Really sad about it because it's been on my shelf for a little bit and I wanted to get to it. I really like anime and things like that, so I was curious, but just not my favorite. So yeah, I gave that one 2 stars. That is going to be it for my wrap up. I know it is small. I didn't get to all the books and I'm disappointed by that. But I am currently reading Red, White, and Royal Blue. I'm about 150 pages in to this and I'm loving it, but this is one that I really wanted to take slow. I've been reading it little by little because I'm really enjoying it and I think it's going to be one of my all-time favorites, so that's why I ended up taking it very slow and not rushing through it. So I'm currently in this. I guess we could count a little bit of it, but not really. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will talk to you guys in my next video. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what you think. Still, sorry about Fruits Basket. I really wanted to like it. Didn't work out, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video, which will probably be my Wheel of TBR. I'm gonna try and figure out what to do with the books I didn't get to this month because I do still really want to read them. but we're gonna have to figure that out because I do know there are other books that I'm also interested in. It was just kind of difficult and I wanted to read with my mood. I didn't want to be completely tied down. So I just went with my gut and I got to the books that I was really excited about, and it seemed to pay off because most of the books were 4 stars. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you guys in a little bit in my next video, like I've already said. Okay, goodbye.
Here we go again. Trying hard, but you wanna be my friend.